Hey guys!
And gals!
Today we will have a look at a few ways we can record sequences and modulation from our MIDI sequencers into VCV Rack. And the idea for this video came from my patrons, so thank you patrons for the idea and also for the support. And as you can see, I have here the BeatStep Pro. I have also the KeyStep here that we will use later. And let's start with recording a sequence from the BeatStep Pro into VCV Rack. I have here a 16-step sequence going. It will sequence the FM operator. It will sound like this. Oh yeah, very nice. Now I want to record this sequence and have it play within VCV Rack. So one thing we can do, we can use Foundry from Impromptu, and here I have it. It's a beautiful sequencer with 4 individual tracks, and now we can send the pitch information to the CV. I will send it also to the FM operator and also to the CV input of the track we want to use. In our case it will be track A. Again, it has 4 different tracks. Now we need some sort of a trigger or a gate to tell the sequencer when to write or record the incoming signal. So let's use the gate output into the write input of Foundry. And now when we hit play, it will start recording the sequence. So let's play this. Very nice. Again, I have a 16-step sequence on the BeatStep Pro. So let's change the length of the sequence on Foundry also to 16 steps instead of 32. And now if we use the sequencer, we will have the same sequence. So let's connect the CV out to the FM operator instead of the MIDI module and also the gate. And now we will need a clock to run the sequencer. So let's use a multiplied by 4 clock just to keep the feel of the 16th notes. And let's have a listen. Oh yeah. So again, the BeatStep Pro, as you can see, it's not playing. The sequence itself is coming from Foundry. And now we can do all sorts of things to this sequence. We can change the run mode, for example. So now it goes forward. We can change this to go backward. Or ping pong. Or random. For example, we can also create variations of the sequence by copying it to other sequences and changing it slightly and create whole songs out of it. So let's activate the cluster, I guess, function, go to the first step and select the sequence. Now I can copy it, go to sequence 2 and paste it. No need for the selection anymore. So now we have exactly the same sequence on sequence 2. Now I can, for example, transpose a few notes. Very nice. We can copy this again and paste it to sequence 3. And now let's say we can change the length. So let's go with, I don't know, 7 steps. And now we can create a song. So if I go to song mode, I have phrase 1 is sequence 1. Let's change phrase 2 to sequence 2. Let's have a 4-phrase song. Let's go to phrase 3 will be again sequence 1, but phrase 4 will be sequence 3. So we have 1, 2, 1, 3. And phrase 4 will be the end of our song, so I'll just click end. Oh yeah. One, 2, 1, 3. Very nice. So we have a whole song, so we can develop this sequence inside of VCV after recording it. But now let's just stop this for a second. Let's try this with the KeyStep. So let's disconnect all of the cables. I will also move the BeatStep Pro to the side for a second, and let's bring in the lovely KeyStep. Very nice. So now we have the KeyStep here. Let's initialize the sequencer, initialize Foundry. And now I can play an ARP, for example, on the keyboard. So let's connect this to the oscillator. I have it set up here, the pitch and the gate. And let's try to play a nice ARP. Hopefully it will be nice. Oh yeah. Oh man. Okay, very nice. So this, for example, we can record this sort of jam into the sequencer, and there is a nice option on Foundry because each sequence is only 32 steps, but I have here obviously more than 32 steps. So there's a nice feature that it can record throughout the sequences and just continue recording. And this is in the right-click menu. It's called AutoSec when writing via CV inputs. So let's activate this. And now let's send the KeyStep to, again, the CV input of track A. And again, I will connect also the gates to the right input. And now we can record the ongoing ARP. So let's try and make something nice again. And you can see sequence 2. Oh yeah. Oh man. Very nice, very nice. So now it's recorded. You can see we are already on sequence 9, but I think I stopped at sequence 8. And now we can create a song with this. So let's go to song mode again. I have phrase 1, sequence 1, phrase 2, sequence 2, and so on up to 8. 4 will be 4, 5 will, and of course you can change this. You can go as you wish. You can edit everything, but let's just listen to what I've recorded. 7, 7, 8, 8, 9 we don't need. I stopped at 8, I guess. And now 8 will be the last phrase, so I just click. And again, let's connect this to the oscillator, to the FM operator, CV, and gate. Again, connect the clock so we can listen to it. Oh yeah. Baby. Oh yeah, so now it's recorded, it's playing from Foundry. It's a great way to record a sequence or an ARP and play with it and create variations of it. And keep in mind that also now the sequence is totally synced with the clock in VCV. So if you have other voices going, it's synced to them. We can change the BPM even. So again, we have the sequence, we can make it fit in our patch. Let's just stop this for a second. But what will happen when I want to record a sequence that doesn't have a gate on for each of the steps? So there are rests, for example. So let's again initialize Foundry right here, disconnect everything, all of the cables, and let's go back to using the BeatStep Pro. So the KeyStep will go here again for a second. And let's go back to the first sequence on the BeatStep Pro. And now we can deactivate a few of the gates. of this sequence. So let's deactivate, for example, 2, 3, 5, 7, 9, 10, 13, 14. So we have on gates and we have also rests. So let's have a listen to this. I will connect this to the FM operator. Very nice. It will sound like this. So you can see we don't have a gate on each of the steps like before. Very nice. Now let's send again the pitch output to the CV input of track A. Again, we will work in track A for now. And now, for the recording of the gates, we need to do a few things. So first of all, we need the expander because there will be the gate input. So in the right-click menu, I just add the expander, and here we have the gate input. So let's use the gate output from the BeatStep Pro. Now what will happen is that with every incoming gate, the state of the current gate or the current step of Foundry will change. So if the step was on, an incoming gate from the BeatStep Pro will turn it off, but if the step was off, an incoming gate will turn it on. So what we have to do is make sure that all steps are off on Foundry. So with the incoming gates from the BeatStep Pro, the correct steps will be activated. So what we have to do is do this. Let's change the mode again to cluster and select all of the steps. And now when I turn off the gate and turn off the selection, all of the gates are off. So again, with each incoming gate, the state of the step it's on will change. So now because all of the steps are off, the relative or the respective gates will go on, which is exactly what we need. But first, we need also a trigger to the write input before we use the gate output. Now, if I use the gate output, it will just write when the gate is on. This is not what we want. We want to write everything. So all of the sequence. And now this is a bit tricky, and I hope I can explain this easily. Because the write input is on the main module and the gate input is on the expander, there's a delay between them. So the write input will happen before the gate signal. In VCV Rack, with each module added in a chain, another delay of 1 sample is added. And the expander is just like having another module in the chain. So there is a 1 sample delay between the gate signal and the write signal. And this is causing an issue. But to fix this, all we have to do is add a small delay to the signal coming in the write input. So let's use the delay module, the signal delay module from AS. Set this, let's say, to 5 milliseconds. And now we need the clock or the clock of the BeatStep Pro to send to the write input. So in the right-click menu of the MIDI module, I can choose a clock division or multiplication, and I will choose again 16th notes because this is the sequence we have. And I will send this clock through the delay. So it will add 5 milliseconds delay to the write input, and now the write signal and the gate signal will happen more or less at the same time. So if I hit play on the BeatStep Pro, it should start recording the sequence with the gates on and off. So let's have a look and let's have a listen. And I will stop it, and you can see we have step 1 is active, then we have 2 rests, just like on Foundry, just like on the BeatStep Pro. Then we have another active step. Step 5 is off, step 6 is on, step 7 is off, step 8 is on, then we have 2 rests, then we have 11 and 12 are on, then 13, 14 are off, and 15, 16 are on. So it recorded not only the pitch, but it recorded also the gates and the rhythm of the sequence. So now we can play it through Foundry. Let's first set this to, again, a 16-step sequence because this is what we have. Let's make also the connection. So again, the pitch will come from the CV output, the gate from the gate output, and now we need some sort of a clock. So let's have a listen to it. Amazing. We have the sequence. So again, we need some sort of delay to the right input, and we need the expander to record also the gates, and don't forget also to turn off all the gates, so the incoming triggers or gates from the BeatStep Pro will turn the respective steps on. It's a bit complicated, not really, but just a bit, but it works perfectly, as you can see here. And again, we can make changes, we can add variations. Let me just turn this off for a second. Everything is synced with the clock, and we have 4 different tracks we can work with. We even have another CV output, the CV2, that we can use for modulation, for example, may it be velocity or anything else. And another thing, we can also record the gate sequencer of the BeatStep Pro into Foundry. So let's have a look at this. Okay, so here I have Foundry again. I also have some drums. And on the BeatStep Pro, I have 4 sequences programmed with different lengths. So let's start with the first sequence. Again, we have to turn off the steps on Foundry so we can record the gates. So let's select all of the steps and turn off the gates. So now they are all deactivated. And again, we need a trigger to trigger the write function. So I have here another channel on the BeatStep Pro which will act as a clock. I just have all steps active. And we also here, we need a delay between the write signal and the gate. Again, the gate is on the expander and the write is on the main module, just like I've shown you before. So I'm going to send this track, this clock track, let's say through the signal delay module and then to the write input. So this will add the delay, and I'm going to send the first sequence to the gate input on the expander. And now when I hit play, it will record the sequence. So let's play. And now I can stop it, and let's have a look. We have the 3 first steps off, and then we have 2 steps on, just like here. Then we have 3 steps off, another step on, another step off, another step on, 2 steps off. Step number 14 is on, and then 2 steps off. So it recorded the sequence exactly how it is on the BeatStep Pro. And now let's change this, because I have here in this case a 16-step sequence. Let's change this to 16 steps. And if we run Foundry and make the connections, I will send the gate to the kick module. We will get exactly the same sequence as on the BeatStep Pro, which is this. Very nice. Okay, so let's do this with the second sequence. So now I will change this to the second gate, which will go. This is the second sequence, which will go to the gate input on the expander. And now we will use the second track, track B. Let's again turn off all of the steps and reset also everything. Very nice. And now again, I will just hit play and it will start recording this sequence. Very nice. In this case, I have 7 steps, so let's change the length to 7 steps. And now have a listen to this. I will connect the gate to the snare and the clock. So this is the sequence from the second sequence on the BeatStep Pro. And let's do the same with the other sequences. So I will go to track C. Select all of the steps, turn off the gates, reset everything. I will change the gate to the third sequence, which is this, and I will record it. Very nice. In this case, I have 5 steps, so let's change this to 5 steps. Let's make the connection with the hi-hat. Very nice. Let's go. Let's record the last one, the last track. Let's go to track D. Again, turn off all of the gates. Very nice. Reset everything. Change the gate to come from the 4th sequence. Let's record it. Very nice. In this case, I have a 9-step sequence. So let's change this to 9 steps. Very nice. And send the gate also to the hi-hat. Now, when I run Foundry, we will have the full sequence or sequences as I have them on the BeatStep Pro with different lengths. Let's have a listen. Very nice. And again, we can modify everything. We can add probability. We can create whole songs. Everything is synced with our clock. So if we have other voices, it's synced. Very nice. But let's for now, let me just disconnect it. Let's for now have a look at how we can record sequences live while a patch is running. Okay, so here we have the Big Button 2 or the Big Button Sequencer 2. Again, this is from Impromptu Modular. I have here again the KeyStep, and I have a few voices ready for us. And with this module, with the Big Button Sequencer, we can record pitch and gates live and have a nice jam. So I have the KeyStep going to the CV input, the pitch is going to the CV input, and the gate output is going to the Big Button, which is actually the trigger input. We can have up to 128 steps, which is quite nice. We have 6 different channels we can record onto and use. So let's start recording. I have here a nice kick drum just so we have, just so we have the rhythm. And now I'm on channel 1, which will sequence the FM operators. So let's record something just by entering the notes. Oh yeah, and now it will just loop. Very nice. Now you can hear that there are those tails in the sequence. Listen. Because there's a change in pitch also when a gate is not high. So we can turn this off by turning on the sample and hold function. Oh yeah. Let's switch to the second sequence, and I have here a nice bass sound with the Voldemar oscillator, some delay. Let's record something. Oh yeah. Oh man, very nice. On channel 3, I have a hi-hat, just from a hi-hat module, so let's record this also. In this case, I'm not using CV, I'm not using pitch, the CV out, I'm just using the gate out, so I can click or press anywhere I want on the keyboard and just record a hi-hat. Oh yeah. Channel 4, I have a snare with some reverb. Again, I can click wherever I want, or press wherever I want, because the CV is not connected, just the gate. Oh yes. On channel 5, I have another voice with the palm loop oscillator. So let's record this. Oh man, this is nice. And on channel 6, I have plats in chords mode with some delay. Oh yes. So again, we have 6 channels. It's all synced with our clock through the clock input. We have all sorts of features here that you can explore. And this is a great way to record and loop voices live with the MIDI controller. Very cool. So let's have a look at another module we can use. Okay, so here I have Dopamine from Volt, which is a commercial module, and also with it we can record the sequences and even add some randomness to them. I have again the KeyStep setup going to the CV input and gate input. I have the main clock driving Dopamine, and now we can start record something. So I will hit record, and as soon as the sequence starts or hits the first step, it will start recording. So let's wait for it. Now I can record. And it will stop when the sequence comes to an end. Of course, also here we can change the number of steps. And here we have also the defects knob. With it we can add randomness. And this is why I have a quantizer set up after dopamine, just so we stay in the same scale. We can also record on top of this recording. Oh yeah. Very nice, so this is another great way to record sequences, and we can also use samplers to record sequences, so let's have a quick look. Okay, so here I have the complex simpler from NISG, and with it we will record a sequence. So let's send the pitch output, I have again the KeyStep, the pitch output to one channel, let's say the left channel, never mind, of the sampler, and the gate will go to the second channel. I have here also a few FM operators as our voices being modulated with the 8FO. So let's send the same pitch and gates to the first voice, and let's record something. I will hit record and I will start playing a sequence. Let's see. And let's stop it, and you can see that it's recorded here. So let's make the connections and have a listen. Pitch and gate. Very nice. We can make another recording with another voice. So let's do this and record another sequence. Very nice. Again, make the connection. Two voices. We can also record, let's say, an arpeggio. So let's connect the third voice and let's do something like this. Let's start recording. Very nice. Let's make the connections. Sampler. And we can even record another voice. We can record as many as we want actually. Let's do this quickly. Maybe I will go an octave up also. Let's see. I have everything connected. Let's record. Let's make the connections here. So also here we can record sequences. We cannot really sync it with the clock, which is a shame. We cannot also really modify this. We can change the speed, we can change the start point, end point, and so on, but we cannot really modify this like we did with Foundry, for example. But we can save this as a WAV file and then load it maybe in the DAW, make some changes, edit this if you want to create a really long sequence, and then load it in a different patch maybe with different voices. But now let's have a look at how we can record modulation. Okay, so here I have the Korg Nano Control with a few knobs and faders that I can use for recording. And I have a few voices here also in VCV. The first one is a sort of a bass. Very nice. The sequencer, the Seq2 is sequencing. The even VCO and Basel, mixing between them. And they're going to a filter. And now I can control this filter with the knob on the Nano Control. and I want to record this modulation. So again, I can use the complex simpler, for example. So let's say I want to record this knob to control, let's just make the connection again, the filter cutoff, but I want also the second knob to control the resonance. So this I can record to the second channel of the sampler, complex simpler. So let's record this. Very nice, and now I can send this from the sampler to the CV inputs, and we have the recording. Again, I can change the speed, the start and end times, and again I can save this as a wave file for later use if I want. I can also make it a one-shot and then sync it with the clock. So let's say I have here a clock, let's say division of 16, let's say. This will trigger the modulation. Very nice. Okay, what I also have here, let's disconnect this. I have here another voice with the wave oscillator. It will sound like this. And I want to be able to modulate the position. And record this. So we can use another module. It's called Remove from Störmelder. So let's send the CV to the input. So I'm sending the CV from the knob to the input of remove, and I'm going to map the position knob, so you can see it's mapped. And now I can start recording, and there are a few settings for this recording in the right click menu. So the record mode can be touch, move, manual, and sample and hold. Let's leave it at move, I think it was now. So now I will record. See, it's recording. Very nice, and now I can run this, and you can see it's recorded. And here we have a few different sequences we can record into, so I can go to sequence 2, for example, and make a different recording. Then I have two sequences I can switch or sequence. So this is also a really nice module. And with it we don't need also CV inputs because it's a mapping to the controller, to the parameter. Here I have another voice with the FM operators. And I want to modulate the depth. And record this. So another module we can use Campione, which is a looper actually, but it can also record CV. So let's do this. Let's send the CV also to the input of Campione. And now I can record. Very nice, and let's send this to the depth input. And now I can play this. As long as I hold the button or send the gate, it will play. When I let go, it will stop. But if I turn this to a one-shot mode, I just have to click once and it will play from the beginning to the end. You can see this here. Or I can also turn loop on and it will just loop. So this modulation will loop. I can change the direction so it can play in reverse. Also here I can change the speed and the start and end points, which is also really nice. So you can use also this to record modulations in VCV. And that was it. Again, thank you patrons for the idea and also for the support. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit the like button. If you enjoy what I do, consider also becoming a patron. If you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe and hit the bell. And have a good one.